Good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. Our headlines this hour. The government institution holding your pensions in trust is bleeding as the Auditor General report reveals SNIT lost over 50 million cedis from liquidation of some of its investments. Final year boarding student at Damongo Senior High School asked to go home over food shortage.
The food they serve was jollof, but say if you look at the food, it's not jollof, it's not plain rice.
Some is not well prepared, some you go, especially the kinky, it will be looking patchy like that, and it will be small.
Also tonight, the World Health Organization days ago confirmed the first case of Marburg, another deadly infectious disease in West Africa.
Unfortunately for Marburg, there is no proven treatment or vaccine, but is efficacious at this point.
We'll be live in Guinea, where one person has died, and also look at Ghana's preparedness. Later in business, National Petroleum Authority set up committee to review price deregulation policy from growing industry concerns.
The goal of the committee is to generally review the policy and see if there are problems that have to be resolved. Naturally, with every policy, its implementation will come with challenges, and one of them is what we've mentioned, the price undercutting. It's one of the things we are looking at to see how we can put in measures to make sure that OMCs and BDCs are operating within the framework that they are supposed to work.
I am Ernest Tumin, and Johnny's Prime is coming to you live from our studios at Fanofa here at Kukumlemle in Accra. We are on your digital terrestrial TV because you are free to air. DSTV channel 421, Go TV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned in. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. Now, food shortage has hit the Damongo Senior High School in the West Gonja municipality of the Savannah region, creating a possibility of the school being shut down and the over 1,800 students, including 673 final year students, asked to go home. The situation on campus is so severe that some final year students had to relocate from their boarding house and be commuting from their homes to school for classes. John News caught up with some of them.
Before, no place. The way it used to be usually, now it has changed. Even today, imagine we want to dine in, I don't know, the food they serve was jollof, but say if you look at the food, it's not jollof, it's not plain rice. And without food, learning and teaching is very difficult because a student cannot go to the class once he or she is hungry, because we find it difficult in learning or something like that.
What do you mean it's not jollof, it's not rice? But meanwhile, they say it was jollof.
There's nothing like tomato sauce inside. So the food, the rice was just looking whitish, but they said it's jollof. It's not jollof, it was not plain rice. Because we know normally when we go for plain rice, there's nothing, they just plain rice. But today it was not like that. They concluded that it's jollof, but it's not jollof, sir.
Okay. And your bowl, how is your bowl? Do you fill your bowl or
no place?
No place.
Even the spoon that they used to serve us, sir, is not even full. Just something small, they just give it to us.
We are also told that it's first come, first serve. If you don't go early, you don't get.
But yes, I know, sir. But usually the way when the food is there, the way we normally eat and walk, now it's not like that. Some tables didn't get food today. So those people like this, imagine how would they go and eat if they are not having money or something in their troubles, like Gary.
And I think those who are from here, they do go home and eat and come, eh?
Yeah, some people do go home and eat and come.
I just met some outside.
Yeah, even my uncle is at town, so normally I do go to him and collect food and then come due to the shortage of food in this campus.
There is no food, so they'll be giving us rice water in the morning, afternoon will be jollof, and then evening will be rice balls each day till they bring food. So that is what is just going on. And this morning, well, I didn't go for dining, but this afternoon was jollof, and we are now waiting to go for evening dining. So we are going to see whether it's going to be the same situation.
I learned that you are 20 per table.
Yes, please.
So how is this situation affecting the studies?
Well, sometimes if you're hungry, I'll just say if before you can learn, you need some energy to learn. So when you don't get the amount of food needed for you to learn, it will be very difficult for you to concentrate on your, because as you are trying to learn, your stomach will not give you chance. So sometimes you have to get something small for your stomach so that you can concentrate on it.
So let's explore this further. Let's go into the phone lines now and speak to Emmanuel Arthur, who is a Senior Manager, Corporate Affairs, National Buffer Stock Company. Many thanks, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. This is not the first time we are receiving reports of shortages in schools or even a delay by your outfit to provide schools with foodstuff. What is accounting for this case? Let's start specifically with the Damango Senior High School.
So, thank you very much. Good evening. We just asked, I explained on your radio station a while ago. And let me begin by indicating that immediately after getting off the line on that interview, I got a call from the headmaster that food had arrived, because I indicated in that interview that we had dispatched food in the morning that was on its way, and it should get there this evening or tomorrow morning. But fortunately, I think it arrived this evening.
Very well.
So that's the update. We had, we've been doing this for years, and it is not common to come by situations like this. Of course, it is not our intention to starve any child. Just as one of the students indicated, their duty is only one: to learn, wake up, eat, and learn. And our duty is to make sure that we get them food to eat so that they can learn. These students don't really care how the food comes about. Or
absolutely, that is your responsibility, Mr. Arthur. So if you could just cut to the chase and tell us why there have been these shortages, we'd appreciate it.
So, we work with human beings. We work with logistics. Sometimes there are some difficulties that we face. For instance, it's been raining in some parts of that region, just as it's raining in some parts of Accra here. And so sometimes it affects movement, transportation here and there. So sometimes the way you have you have mapped the distribution, that you're going to start from this side of the region and get here, so that, and then sometimes there's some delay here and there. But once it got into our attention, we have been able to find solution to it. It's also important to indicate that we are looking out for any other isolation cases like this in that region and any other part of the country, because it should not happen that students should be starved while studying on campus.
And that leads me to the question of what sort of monitoring systems you have to be able to identify such issues.
We have a system in place. For instance, in terms of transporting these food from let's say from the warehouse to the schools, or from one point to another, we sometimes there's breakdown, for instance, of the tracks. Once we get the information on time, we're able to put in arrangement for an alternative to go cut the goods to the school. Sometimes we don't get the information on time, so this is what account for some of the difficulties.
Okay, and Mr. Arthur, you can assure us that once you have begun checking for some of these issues in other schools, we will not witness such a situation where students would have to go home because of food shortage.
You can have the best of my assurance.
We are grateful for your time. That's Emmanuel Arthur, is Senior Manager, Corporate Affairs, National Buffer Stock. Let's bring you some other stories here on Joy News Prime. The government institution holding your pensions in trust is bleeding. As the Auditor General's report reveals, SNIT lost over 50 million cedis from liquidation of some of its investments. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, registered a total loss of $11.79 million from the liquidation of 3 of its investments, with a total cash outlay of $14.768 million. The report also says that SNIT has more than 440 million cedis locked up in non-performing investment. The Auditor General is therefore urging the management of SNIT to investigate the non-performance of these investments to ensure value for money. Let's take you to some of the graphics that we prepared for you on this story. And so, as you can see on your screen right now, the name of the company of this liquidation, as far as the investment is concerned, Ningo Salt Company Limited. The date of acquisition, July 5, percentage holding, 40%, amount invested, 6,080,000, loss, 6,080,000, everything gone. And the remarks here is that SNIT invested Ningo Salt Limited in 2005 by injecting $1.93 million as equity and $4.15 million as debt finance. Declaration of solvency dated the 1st of October 2019. NSL has sold all its assets and has paid off its liabilities. Shareholders were not paid any surplus. So that is what SNIT found as far as this company is concerned, Ningo Salt Company. And all of this is from the Auditor General's report. And so the other company, Granite and Marbles Limited, the date of investment, July 9. We have 22% in that investment, 3,650,000. And then again, you could see that everything was lost in that investment. The remarks there is that SNIT only received an outstanding amount of 428,337.07 pesos, representing unpaid Social Security contributions and penalty up to December 2012, with a check number, of course, 00153, dated the 28th of February 2020. Shareholders were not paid any surplus. Again, the other company, Canada Investment Fund for Africa. The date stated there, June 5, the percentage, 2.37%. We invested 153. The loss there, 2,664,109. And the remarks, the fund has so far distributed 2,953,541 as of September 2014 to the trust. The last time the CIFA, that's the Canada Investment Fund for Africa, remitted funds was in March 2015. No evidence of further distribution was cited. And so you have a total there of 11,794,109. That's the loss provided there by SNIT. And so let's go on to Zoom now. My colleague Kweku Asante has also been looking at the document, of the Auditor General. Kweku, take us through some of the interesting details of the investments, the losses, and some of the other findings of the Auditor General.
All right, Ernest. So just as you've just gone through, what you just went through was that of the 3 investments that SNIT had made with pensioners' money, which have all failed, and so SNIT has lost this amount of money. But there are very interesting points also in SNIT. This report from the Auditor General saying that SNIT has lost about 440 million cedis. It's not actually lost it, but these are funds that have gotten locked in non-performing investments.
Okay.
And the Auditor General has some very strict words for them. They say that these investment losses occurred as a result of poor oversight responsibility and non-existent controls. Other contributing factors were finance officers' failure to properly file and keep records, management's failure to ensure the security and safety of vital documents, non-maintenance of return check registers, management's inertia in complying with procedures stipulated in the Public Financial Management Act and poor accounting systems. So it's almost as though laws have been breached. There have been a lot of poor record keeping that has made SNIT lost a lot of money, that it used pensioners' money, thinking that it can recoup some profits and in turn use that to pay pensioners. The report goes ahead to say that, there were the whole irregularities that were cited in this year's Auditor General's report. I mean, sum up to 1.8 billion Ghana cedis. And out of this amount, 442,780,876 pesos is on SNIT alone. And so SNIT is contributing a substantial amount of the losses and the irregularities, financial irregularities in the SNIT report.
Okay.
And so
the Auditor General, pointed to poor.
What is saying is that SNIT and other such agencies. All right, and so there are some of these issues are what the Auditor General has raised, that poor record keeping. Sometimes people are paying checks, they are not finding the checks and all that. And so the Auditor General is strictly urging states and other managers to keep all these records and also to be able to ensure that their managers actually keep these records. And what we know finally is that, as in, if this was probably John level, there could have been a time where they say, okay, these officers should be surcharged this amount because it is through this officer's negligence that the state is losing that amount of money. This Auditor General's report, in terms of this specific recommendation and issues from the state, does not recommend any surcharges.
All right, Kweku, thank you very much for bringing us those details. Of course, there were no, instructions to surcharge, but a few of the revelations also in the Auditor General's reports. SNIT has 442.7 million locked up in non-performing investment. That's according to the Auditor General's report. Kweku tried explaining that, but a quote from that report says, cash irregularities related to the misapplication of funds and, of course, funds, non-retirement of interest payment, non-authenticated payment of board allowances to council members without ministerial approval. And that is very significant. Payment of board allowances to council members without ministerial approval, cash locked up in non-performing investment. So out of the total figure, and that is what Kweku tried giving us, of over 1,802,692,501 Ghana cedis, 442,730,876.74 represented cash locked up in non-performing investment by SNIT. So these are huge losses made by the Auditor General. These occurred as a result of poor oversight responsibility and non-existent controls. Other contributory factors were finance officers' failure to properly file and keep records, management's failure to ensure the security and safety of vital documents, non-maintenance of return check registers, management inertia in complying with procedures stipulated in the Public Financial Management Act, and poor accounting system. So these are some of the revelations in the Auditor General's report. We have reached out to SNIT. When we get a response from them, we'll bring that to you. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Anas Minu. Still to come, the World Health Organization days ago confirmed the first case of Marburg, another deadly and highly infectious virus disease in West Africa.
Fortunately for Marburg, there is no proven treatment or vaccine, but is efficacious at this point.
We'll be live in Guinea, where one person has died, and also look at Ghana's preparedness. And later in business, National Petroleum Authority set up committee to review price deregulation policy following growing concerns in the industry.
The goal of the committee is to generally review the policy and see if there are problems that have to be resolved. Naturally, with every policy, its implementation will come with challenges, and one of them is what we've mentioned, the price undercutting. It's one of the things we are looking at to see how we can put in measures to make sure that OMCs and BDCs are operating within the framework that they are supposed to work.
And in business, the National Petroleum Authority has set up a committee with full backing from the Energy Ministry to review the price deregulation policy. The committee is drawing its members from the NPA, the Energy Ministry, the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, bulk oil distribution companies, and Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Now, civil society groups have, however, been asked to submit proposals or make inputs. The authority's actions has been influenced by recent concerns by some industry players on a policy introduced in 2015. Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti is head of pricing at the National Petroleum Authority.
The regulation policy came into effect in July 2015 and it's been exactly 6 years since its implementation. It's only necessary and important that we review it and see whether it is achieving its purpose. So that policy started its work yesterday. And, the goal of the committee is to generally review the policy and see if there are problems that have to be resolved. Naturally, with every policy, its implementation will come with challenges, and one of them is what we've mentioned, the price undercutting. It's one of the things we are looking at to see how we can put in measures to make sure that OMCs and BDCs are operating within the framework that they are supposed to work. So the price regulation policy at the end of the day is going to make recommendations to address some of these issues. But generally, all the stakeholders agree that this regulation policy has worked, but for the players, the BDCs and the OMCs, issues of price undercutting is a concern to them, and we are going to come up with recommendations to address that.
Some of them are worried that it appears that looking at the way the direction of the pricing is going, they may struggle to sustain this policy. They think that the time has come for this policy to be looked at again. Would that also look at that as well, whether we should still even go ahead with the full price regulation or we should get back to the olden days?
So like I told you, almost everyone in the committee, every stakeholder agrees that the price regulation policy is a good policy. So we are only looking at how to make it work properly as expected. So that is what we are doing. We are going to come up with how to make the policy work, but I don't think anyone so far from all the reviews we've heard, anyone wants to go back to regulation, because like you know, the regulating products have its own challenges, which no one really wants to go back to.
Away from that, managers of the country's airport end-to-end payment platform, that's Ghana Link, have rejected claims by some freight forwarders at the Kotoka International Airport that scanners have not been functioning for days now. According to the company, one of the scanners developed a fault on Monday but was rectified within 24 hours to avert any delay in clearing of goods at the country's premier port. Some freight forwarders have told Joy Business that there's been congestion at the cargo section of the Kotoka International Airport due to some non-functional scanners at the port. A development Ghana Link disagrees. Novana Kwaheford is Public Relations Manager at Ghana Link.
It came to our attention on Sunday, the scanner at the airport developed some kind of fault. But you'd agree with me that on Sunday, it was a bit difficult after an evaluation was done by our technical team and then the IT guys. And so certain parts needed to be replaced. And that could not be done on Sunday, so we had to wait until Monday. Further evaluation was done, and then we realized that there's some work that needed to be done. In fact, our guys had been working frantically day and night to make sure that they restore the scanner, which is at the airport, let me put it that way. And as I speak to you, Charles, as of yesterday in the afternoon, the scanner came back on stream. It's working as fine as it should. And so as of today, there is no problem at the airport. Things are going on as it should. I want to apologize to our brothers and sisters, that is the freight forwarding community, but you should understand that these are machines, and you would always have machines developing fault one way or the other as they are being used. And they've been working, these machines have been working almost sometimes 24 hours because of, the cargo that comes in. So we had to quickly work, and the team, I would say they did a very good job and ensure that yesterday by afternoon, this machine had come back on stream. And so it's been working as fine as it should. We assure the community, the freight forwarding community at the airport. In fact, they have been very tremendous. They have been patient with us, and we are grateful to them for that level of patience that they've had, and the commitment that they've had with us, and also joining hands with us to ensure that these things, don't happen. We are grateful to them for that. But as I have said, it was a problem, and it has been resolved.
Yes,
and we're grateful to them for their patience.
And of course, that's how we end business for this segment. We have more news coming up shortly. Do stay.
Thank you for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Health authorities in Guinea Monday confirmed a case of Marburg virus in the country. This marked the first time Marburg, a highly infectious disease that causes hemorrhagic fever, is being identified in West Africa. Marburg acts like the virus that causes Ebola and was detected less than 2 months after Guinea was declared Ebola-free. It is important to note that the Marburg virus disease is a highly virulent disease with case fatality rates between 24 to 88% in past outbreaks, depending on the virus strain and also the case management. The WHO said it has begun cross-border surveillance with neighboring countries put on alert. Joining me on Zoom tonight to look at the case of Guinea and narrow it down later to Ghana is Dr. Georges Kizerbo, the WHO representative in Guinea, and later will be joined by Dr. Dennis Lai, the head of disease surveillance at the Ghana Health Service. Let me start with you, Dr. Kizerbo. What is the specific situation of Guinea?
Good evening. Thank you for having me in your program. In Guinea, we have one case of Marburg virus disease confirmed by the health authorities, and the response operations are going on with around 150 active contacts being traced and actually under surveillance. So as you said, Guinea was in the 90 days active surveillance phase after the declaration of the end of the resurgence of Ebola this year. So the capacities on the ground were reoriented to take into account this new threat, which is a highly risky situation for Guinea, but not only for Guinea, for the neighboring countries also. So the situation is one case, no secondary case for the moment, but very high vigilance in the area.
I noticed you say one case, that is the death, and then about 150 people on surveillance. When you say there's no secondary case, does it mean that you have not identified any other person who has been confirmed positive with the virus?
As of today, no other case has been confirmed, but a number of high-risk contacts are being monitored, especially to see if they develop symptoms so that the testing can be done immediately and they can be referred to the case management facility. So one case confirmed so far.
Very well. How is this virus transmitted?
This virus is transmitted by contact with a person who is sick through blood or body fluids. It can also be transmitted through items such as clothes and other items. Sexual transmission has been documented in some previous outbreaks up to several weeks after discharge of patients. So it's mainly human-to-human transmission, but the source of infection is obviously in animals. In bats, it has been shown that it was circulating in bats in this region and other parts of Africa. And usually it's a breakthrough infection from animals to humans.
Okay. Is there any treatment if you are accidentally infected? Can you be treated?
Unfortunately, there is no proven treatment or vaccine. These are under research now, but there is no proven treatment or vaccine. The treatment is a supportive care. So depending on the symptoms that are presented by the patient, usually it begins like a fever and with malaise and like a flu-like disease in the beginning, or it can also mimic malaria. But after, at the phase of complications, you can have hemorrhagic symptoms. And this is a very severe phase with high fatality, as you said.
So how do you prevent yourself from being infected?
Prevention is based on universal precautions, mainly hygiene, individual and collective hygiene, hand washing, avoiding contact with people who are ill, and also avoiding For example, reusing needles for injections, and also avoiding gatherings, especially at funerals, in this context where you don't know the cause of deaths. So funerals and people touching bodies can be a big factor in transmitting the infection. So it's important to sensitize the community, especially those who are in charge for burials and also healthcare workers also.
You mentioned the symptoms of the Marburg virus disease, which is flu-like symptoms, fever, and all of that. How do you manage a case? What goes into case management of a person infected with the virus?
Yes, case management would be symptomatic, depending on the symptoms. Giving antipyretics for the fever, and also especially rehydration, because it can also present with severe diarrhea and vomiting, which looks like cholera almost. So supportive care and vital care is very important. It's like intensive care, depending on the symptoms that are presented and the organ failures that can happen at the severe phase, complicated phase of the disease.
You mentioned cross-border surveillance as part of controlling the outbreak of this disease. Which countries are involved in this surveillance?
The area where the case was documented and diagnosed is very close to the borders to Sierra Leone and also to Liberia. So the three countries are working together. There were already cross-border meetings and coordination. And this is where we need to be very vigilant in terms of points of entry, checkpoints, and also looking at population mobility in these areas.
And so would the WHO, for instance, advise that the countries involved look at putting health systems at their borders? You mentioned the point of entry, so mainly the land borders, because of how interconnected countries within the sub-region are.
Exact preparedness, especially at border points, is very important. The health districts at the borders need to be on high alert, and I think this is already the case. They need to talk to each other, and they also need to protect the workers at the points of entry, be it health workers or immigration workers and so on.
Are you providing some sort of training for medical personnel in that country in Guinea? We know they have gone through Ebola. Just when we thought they're out of the woods, they are hit by this again. Is there some form of medical support being given to the country in order to deal with this?
Yes, WHO has deployed a surge capacity in different pillars of the response in terms of case management, infection prevention and control. We have the epidemiologists for contact tracing, so these disease detectives. We also have social anthropologists and communication experts who are engaging the community to get the buy-in and partnership with the community. This is very important.
Dr. Gizabo, kindly hold it for me. We're joined by the Ghana Health Service in February this year when the case was confirmed in Guinea. The Ghana Health Service asked all regional, district and local health institutions to be on high alert. It also directed the regions and the district health facilities to initiate preparedness and some response plans of Ebola. Dr. Dennis Laye is the public health specialist and head of disease surveillance at the Ghana Health Service. Thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. Considering again how interconnected we are, what sort of response plans are you looking at the various units triggering in order to deal with this, the preparedness?
All right, thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners and viewers. I think my colleague from Guinea has highlighted a lot of the issues as far as surveillance in the sub-region is concerned. One of the things we do as the health wing of ECOWAS, which is the West African Health Organization, is having regular weekly meetings, what we call the Emergency Operations Center for the West African Health Region. And we do deliberate and share, best practices and ideas and also information on activities going on in our respective countries. So this is just part of it, and I think my colleague from Guinea has elaborated quite well on the things that we're doing. He mentioned cross-border activities, which is a critical component of our response in the West African region. One of the advantages we have currently is that our emergency operations or our emergency preparedness and response systems are already active. We are in the middle of an outbreak, COVID-19. And so this is just to add on to what we already have in place. And as you mentioned, a lot of the protective measures in place, they are just similar to COVID-19. So we're going to rehash these and also ensure that facilities are on high alert as far as this particular disease is concerned. So that I think will be my comment for now. Thank you.
And because you mentioned COVID-19, I mean, the health preparedness systems that we had for Ebola, those were the systems that were triggered to manage COVID-19, and there's a lot of focus on that. What is the assurance that should we have, and we're praying we don't have a situation, but should we have a situation on our hands, we have the men, the resources to deal with that, even as we have a pandemic on our hands at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much. The honest truth is that we need to be able to do all we can, all that is within our power, to ensure that even if we should get a case, it doesn't spread. Because that's a key thing. No matter how prepared the health system is, it can be overwhelmed if numbers go above a certain threshold. And so that is what collectively as a country we should be working towards. And for us in the health sector, we are working with our various public health emergency management committees at the regional, at the district levels to ensure that we can be able to pick any case and then institute the appropriate measures, respond appropriately. What we would also encourage the general public is that if people fall sick, if they come up with any of the symptoms that my colleague has elaborated, let's report to a health facility. And whatever measures we are asked to adhere to, let's ensure that we do. It's a collective thing. It's not just about the health system. If we don't get the general public or the population to be behind us and adhere to the things we advise on, no matter what systems we put in place, it's not going to work. So it's a two-way thing, and I would encourage that we all understand what's going on, especially because we are in the middle of a pandemic. And as you rightly said, if we add on a Marburg to it, we're going to have issues.
Doctor,
so it's important that people report to our facilities if they are not well, and then we can be able to issue the appropriate investigations and response measures.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Dennis Lai, Head of Disease Surveillance at the Ghana Health Service. We still have Dr. Gizebo on Zoom with us. Doc, even as we wrap up on this conversation, Guinea has been hit with Ebola, and just when they thought they were out of the woods, there's another, disease. Obviously, the devastation will be strong. How is the WHO collaborating with government to provide logistical support and also intensify education because of some fatigue that may set in among the citizens?
Yes, thank you. WHO has a hub in Zerekore, which is the regional capital of the southeastern Guinea region where this is happening. We also sent in Gwekedu, near the hotspot, a search capacity team to work with district health authorities. We are providing logistics support, especially for infection prevention and control, protective equipment for health workers, but also for community health workers who are working with the communities. We are working with other partners, UN agencies, multilateral, bilateral partners, international banks, to support the national response plan. And as my colleague from Ghana was saying, we are taking into account the regional dimension with the Mano River countries, the 6 countries bordering Guinea, and also West African Health Organization.
We're grateful for your time. That's Dr. Georges Gizebo, the WHO representative in Guinea, bringing us some details on the Marburg disease that had been recorded in Guinea. We also spoke earlier to Dr. Dennis Lai, who is a public health specialist and the head of disease surveillance at the Ghana Health Service. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest.
Many thanks for staying with us. Time to bring you sports. My name is Hans Mensah, and the president of the Ghana Football Association says all persons involved in match-fixing scandals will be brought to justice. According to him, the FA will defend the passion of the nation by fishing out all those involved in match-fixing. There is more in the following report.
The just-ended Ghana Premier League season was per media reports infiltrated by betting companies, which led to many matches of convenience. On match day 34 of the football season, the match involving Inter Allies and Ashanti Gold had a defender of Allies, Hashim Musa, scoring 2 deliberate own goals and later explained that there were reports that the match was fixed. The Ghana Football Association initiated steps to investigate and eradicate a situation many say has become endemic. The FA engaged the Police Criminal Investigative Department to help find the perpetrators of these betting acts. Following that move, President of the football governing body, Ket Okreku, warned that his administration will come after the people who engage in fixing matches to face the full rigors of the law.
If you are here and you know that you played a part, just be ready. Don't call me because you didn't call me when you wanted to play the role. Don't call me. And those who are calling must stop. Those who are calling phone regarding betting must stop. To quote the former president of America, we would what? We'll chase them out of their hiding places. Bring them to justice.
Mr. Okreku also promised to protect the sanctity of the association's products.
I will not shy away to say this. Our football has and was attacked by faceless cowards. I'm talking about betting. I'm repeating myself. Our sport has been attacked by faceless cowards. And it is my responsibility, and it's the responsibility of our executive to defend the passion of the nation. Everybody who has played a part, I'm talking about the faceless cowards, will face it. We'll clean our sports and we'll bring confidence to a sport that fits me, that fits all of us here. A sport that gives hope and aspirations to the entire 30 million people and beyond of this country.
The Ghana football season ended about 2 weeks ago, with Hearts of Oak winning the double, that is, the Premier League and the FA Cup.
That's it for this installment. There is more sports later in the bulletin.
And of course, it's time for showbiz. Beautiful Becky is here. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Ernest.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Remember Getty and Friends?
Help me.
Wanna baby, yeah, wanna baby, strong.
Okay, I remember now. It's okay, yeah, I get it.
Well, so I caught up with Getty, and you know they've been away for like a very long time.
Absolutely. So it sounds very much alike.
Now you know.
Now I know.
We have Getty and her friends. We never see the friends.
Yeah, we never see their friends.
I think it's a way of saying that. Getty and Co. Remember when you're in church like those days? We call you Getty and Becky and Co. And all. Let's congratulate Shatta Wale for the nominations at the MTV Music Video Awards. Yeah, for star, obviously Beyonce feature.
Okay.
Whoosh, that's the line, man. So, well, I think Ghanaians they've forgotten that Shatta Wale featured in Beyonce's already song. We're just reminding you.
Oh,
that,
really? I don't think
Beyonce
people have forgotten.
featured.
Have you?
No, you have.
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
How can I forget?
We thank God. Speaking of Shatta Wale, you know Opanka featured him on his new song.
Yeah.
It's actually an old song, but in the video. So we spoke to Opanka just this morning, and he is so grateful that Shatta Wale made time to feature in his video.
You're welcome any day, anytime.
Thank
Thank you
you,
too for always keeping us updated.
Oh, thank you.
And that's Becky with Showbiz. We have more news for you. You want to stay with us, please. Thank you very much for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Born and raised in the border town of Sampa, somewhere in the Bono region, 10-year-old Ebenezer Opambo was excited about the prospect of visiting Accra for the first time, but he will be left on his own shortly after arriving with his mom, who is now mentally challenged. Little Ebenezer now roams the streets of Accra by day and joins other squatters to sleep at the underbridge of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange at night. As sanitation officers of the AMA stormed the area to clear illegal occupants Wednesday, what he knew to be home went away too. Emmanuel Cranting has the rest of the story.
This was supposed to be another day for the Joy Clean Ghana campaign. As a team approached the underbridge of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, it was clear the area served as more than just walkways. From a distance, several people, mainly squatters, were spotted sleeping on cardboards, piles of pavement bricks, and dirty clothes. Not even the rocks planted as spikes could stop them from occupying the pavements. But why were they there?
Why do they sleep here?
Oh, we be here where they sleep.
Here where they sleep every day. Yeah. Oh, we here in the bed. Why in the bed here?
Everybody they feel the can bed. They do some to the bed there.
You what to do for it?
I carry Kayayu.
They carry Kayayu. Yeah. Where you from?
I'm from Volta.
From Volta. When you come Accra?
2016.
I don't get father and my mother in this age. That one I live my life for the estate.
Then as they were ordered to leave, I spotted 10-year-old Ebenezer Opambo emerge from among the squatters. His faded shirt on the tattered pair of trousers was definitely not for fashion. And parts of his black sandals were peeling off, just as every old and overused footwear will. This was difficult to miss. Why was he under the bridge on a Wednesday morning and not in school? I wondered.
My village is for the sampan of BA. So my mommy take me to come here. Here I don't go to school.
Your mommy brought you to Accra?
Yeah.
From BA? From
yeah.
Okay, so where do you stay?
My mommy, me and my mommy, every time I come and stay there overhead.
I will later find out his mom is mentally challenged, a reason little Ebenezer has been left roaming Accra's perilous streets all by himself.
This boy, last time I day here, if he come to give me one seat to buy the food, I go to my mom.
You're not afraid car will knock you down?
I'm afraid.
You're afraid? And you are still staying here? Who are your family members?
My family members stay there, Sampano.
Sampano.
The closest thing to a family Ebenezer knows in Accra is Rasta. The 27-year-old, himself also homeless, goes about hustling to be able to give Eben 1 Ghana cedi for food. But they could go days without any proper meal.
Oh, my name is Mama. Bakwese ablaboni ntina. If you are my Johnny, baby on more than 1 day pen me on any mamma. Mention me that one said you on any mamma, so that one is but me one crown on your mobile. But you won't you want to see 2 stadium the other day. Yamano.
Like Eben, there are hundreds of kids who are roaming the streets of Accra in search of warmth and support from a society that is constantly failing them. For now, though, that's all he has. For Joy News, Manuel Cranting.
Very sad story there. But the Amasia West Police have arrested one suspect in the alleged beating to death of a 32-year-old miner at Manso Asamang in the Ashanti region. Ernest Kwabena Opoku was allegedly assaulted by his colleague miners, accused him of stealing gold worth 150 cedis. The police say they are close to picking up other suspects in the case. Now, Jima has been following the story and filed this report.
Wife of the deceased, Ama Awandanga, sits in the midst of other tenants of the house in which she lived with her deceased husband, Ernest Kwabena Opoku. With their 2-month-old daughter on her lap, she mourns her deceased husband. According to eyewitnesses, the deceased is suspected to have taken gold valued at 150 cedis from the mining site. A video in circulation shows many of the mine workers looking on as two people are physically assaulted. The two are stripped naked and beaten with flexible pipes. It is alleged the two were assaulted on the orders of the owner of Napoleon Community Mining, whose name is given as Aya. Wife of the deceased, Ama Awandaga, says her pleas for them to let her husband go didn't yield any positive results.
I
was told by my people that my husband was being lynched. My husband was beaten till his manhood was swollen. The manager was rather laughing at us and alleging that my husband has stolen his gold. My husband has never stolen gold. He is an honest man. Upon all his pleas, he was beaten to death.
Ernest Kwabena Opoku died at the St. Michael's Hospital at Agroyesum, while the other victim is receiving treatment at the hospital. Ernest is described as witty, hence nicknamed Lowen. Ama strongly refutes the claim her husband stole from the site. Family of the deceased and owner of mining site, Aya, were invited to assist investigations by the Central Police Station in Kumasi. One suspect, yet to be named, has been arrested. Brother of the deceased, Daniel Kwarten, is hopeful the family will be served justice. We do not entertain thievery in our family. We are very sad that people will use such an excuse to lynch him. He has worked with them for a long time. Why is he now stealing from them? We will leave everything in the hands of the police. For Joy News, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
Relatives of 3 accused persons standing trial for the murder of social media activist Ibrahim Mohammed in Nigeria were left disappointed as the court adjourned the case for the 4th time, as relatives anxiously waited at the Asokwa District Court complex for the arrival of the 3. The prosecutor asked for the case to be adjourned. Chief Superintendent Kofi Blagoji had prayed the court to adjourn the case as prosecution awaits advice from the Attorney General's Department on the duplicate case docket. He later told journalists the adjournment is to enable the AG's office pursue and advise the case accordingly. Ohimenteria of our security desk was in court and now reports.
Isaka Ibrahim, also known as Enyas, Fuseni Alasa and Idi Mohammed were remanded after their maiden court appearance on July 2, 2021. They were remanded again into police custody on July 22, 2021 and reappeared on August 12, 2021. Among the 3 accused persons, only Idi Mohammed has a legal representation at the court. Isaka Ibrahim and Fuseni Alasa, both known to be New Patriotic Party polling station executives in Nigeria, have been without legal representation since their arrest on June 28, 2021 at about 10:45 p.m. The police delayed in transporting the accused persons who have been in their custody to Thursday's hearing. The court was compelled to call the case but re-adjourned for the 3 accused persons to reappear on September 7, 2021. The prosecutor, Chief Superintendent Kofi Blagoji, told the court The case docket has been forwarded to the Attorney General's office for advice. He later told journalists the adjournment is to enable the AG's office peruse and advise on the case accordingly.
They'll put their inputs, they'll peruse the docket and advise accordingly. So they are on their way coming. But it's unfortunate that the trial judge couldn't go, so we have to adjourn. Okay. And as we indicated to the court, that we forwarded the docket to the AG's office. So definitely AG has to peruse the docket, advise on it, and we'll see the way forward.
Relatives of the 3 accused persons who were in court were, however, disappointed. Some had gathered at the Asokwa District Court complex premises, perhaps to catch a glimpse of their loved ones, only to be told the case had been called in their absence. With the exception of the family of Idi Mohammed, who spoke to the media, the rest declined comments as they left the court premises, talking to themselves in groups. Rahinatu Ibrahim, a sister to the late Kakamecho, told journalists the family seeks justice for their brother, Idi Mohammed.
Justice is all we demand. We want the authorities to investigate the matter thoroughly and give a fair judgment. We have no problem with the fact that he was not brought to court today. All that we want is for the truth to come out. We are not perturbed with today's adjournment. The reason for us being in court is to seek justice for him. All we need is justice.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oiminteria reporting.
Now, do you remember the contempt case against Kennedy Japan in the High Court and the Supreme Court decision that was the trial judge asking him to recuse himself from the case? You remember that? Well, tonight, the Supreme Court judge, Justice Yoni Kulendi, has explained that the Supreme Court prohibited the judge presiding over the trial, Justice Amos Wunta Wuni, from continuing the case because he had made comments that he showed that his mind was made up on the case even before the MP would open his defense. The judge summoned the Asin Central MP to answer charges of contempt for allegedly going on live television to use unprintable words on the High Court judge. This is the first time the judge is explaining the judgment publicly.
Ties to anything they are over familiar with. So if you man a police cell, you've never been in that cell, your attitude will be different from the one who is manning it, who has been in there before. And if you man the sanctuary of justice, you are the chief priest. I mean, you should see how judges can sign orders without seeing the prisoners. The law doesn't even allow that. But it's a measure of how you can become desensitized. What can I do? In the way that the system works, sometimes there's not much you can do at a personal level beyond what your official space allows you to do. So as a justice of the Supreme Court is the highest appellate court. And so really, by the time the matter comes to you, the matter would have been appealed, the trial would have gone on, the person is convicted, and then speaking about criminal matters before it comes to you. And so it will be once in a while. So you're not like the magistrate or the circuit judge who goes to sit down every day and you have 50 or 20 or 30 criminal cases on your course list to deal with. It will come our way once in a while, and it is those who fight the system all the way up to the very last. So that is when I'll get to be working as a judge in a matter like that. But the good thing is that when you do, you can then lay the example and set the rules. And at that level, when you set the rules, then every court must follow the rules.
Justice Yoni Kulendi also noted that some of the bottlenecks in the criminal justice delivery system is because some judges and magistrates, as well as police officers, have not tasted prison before to appreciate the difficulties over there.
And it had to do with Kennedy Ajapon, the MP, who made some comments about a judge and then got arraigned before a high court for contempt. So my big brother took me on and said, but you, it's people like you who create the problems because you wrote the judgment of the Supreme Court that let the man free. Because I wrote the majority opinion, it was a unanimous opinion of the Supreme Court. When he went to the Supreme Court, his lawyers went to the Supreme Court seeking to quash what the judge had done and to prohibit the judge from continuing to hear his case. And it turned on simple things. So first of all, I'm a judge. So if anybody threatens a judge, I cannot be amused. The matter that came to us, we're not supposed to determine whether he was guilty of contempt of court or not. We were supposed to determine whether the judge who was trying him for contempt had conducted himself in a way, said or written things which show that he had lost an impartial judicial mind to be fair to the man who was standing before him. And the simple reason for which we prohibited him from continuing the case was that the guy says, you come and prove that you are not in contempt of this court. Otherwise, you will be severely punished. Now, for me as a judge, it means that this judge has already made up his mind about the degree of punishment you are going to suffer. A judge is not allowed to do that.
Electric vehicle assembly firm Solar Taxi is investing in the building of battery parks for solar vehicles at its assembly plant. Sourcing batteries is highly competitive with the increasing interest of car manufacturing companies in producing electric vehicles. The local project is expected to help reduce the cost and efficiency of batteries, which is the main component of electric vehicles. Nana Ojima visited the battery lab in Kumasi and has come through with this report.
The decision by auto companies to go electric has resulted in high demand for electric vehicle battery packs, which form an integral part of their manufacturing. Startups like Solar Taxi anticipate a fall in business due to the financial muscle of the established automakers in competing with them in sourcing for battery packs. Operations Manager Arnold Anochia Martin explains.
A lot of the mainstream car manufacturers are going into electric vehicle production. Talk about Benz, Rolls-Royce, Maserati, Ford. They are all, even Hammer has launched an EV Hammer. So it tells you all these companies will require batteries to power their vehicles. And most of them outsource it from different countries like China. I think somewhere late 2020, there was a shortage of battery packs because almost all these countries were demanding it from these battery pack producers.
So this is an illustration of exactly...
A team led by Christopher Ameuho went through the design and research process aimed at improving efficiency and reducing cost of battery packs. Using discarded computer batteries for a trial, a battery arrangement formula of 400 joint cells of 21 by 700 lithium-ion cells produces a 7 kilowatt an hour capacity battery packs for motorbikes. The cells, sourced outside the country, are welded together to make them a battery pack through spot welding by nickel strips. A battery management system with sensors helps feed information of health of individual cells to the user of the vehicle. Mr. Amewuho explains.
It's an electronic board that manages the behavior and the performance of the cells. It has sensors in there. So this is a temperature sensor, which measures the temperature within the battery when you are using it or without using it, because it has to protect the battery from exploding. When you install the BMS, you have to program the BMS. Then the BMS manages the battery pack for you. After installing the BMS, we are able to link the batteries to the mobile phone. So we now can communicate with the BMS, so we test it to see exactly how is the individual cells performing. So the ones that we import, you have no idea what is happening here, and you can't even tell exactly what is going on in there.
Various tests and quality control measures are adopted to ensure efficiency before packaging in the case for assembly of electric vehicles. Mr. Amewuho explains the cost advantage over imported battery packs.
The foreign lead-acid batteries, okay, if you are to charge it, you could spend like 5 cedis. But with this, you are paying 4 cedi 50 pesos. It looks close, right? But that 5 cedis, you are not going to get that capacity output because the chemistry will not give you the amount of power you input in there. So if you can travel 140 kilometers paying 4 cedi, that the old ones that we were using, the imported ones, will go 80 and you pay 5 cedis. You pay 5 cedis. So this has more advantage. And also if you consider, even if we import the same type of batteries from outside, the cost is enormous comparatively to what we are doing here. These cells, this pack might cost you somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 cedis. But if you are importing the same capacity, before you even get your specification to the supplier to design and build it this way, it would have taken a longer time. It will cost you somewhere around 14,000 cedis.
This is an electric vehicle, meaning it runs solely on batteries. This is the future of the batteries being assembled here locally by Solar Taxi Ghana to run on electric cars like this one. So far, what they have are compatible with motorbikes and tricycles being produced by Solar Taxi. For Joy News, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
To some health stories now, midwives and other child health practitioners will soon benefit from a series of training programs financed by the government. According to the Ghana Health Service, this initiative is part of measures to increase investment in maternal, newborn, child and adolescent health across the country. Speaking at a maternal child health and nutrition conference here in Accra, Director General of the service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, was hopeful the training will help reduce further the rate of child and maternal mortality in Ghana.
The objective of the workshop is to improve the resilience of the health sector, especially in relation to maternal, child health, nutrition, and adolescent health in responding during crisis. It was anticipated that with such a pandemic, we're going to have a 15% increase in mortality, reduction in coverage, etc. So we also know that when any health system that can take care of children and their mothers is able to do many other things, and so strengthening the resilience to offer that services will help. But last year, because we acted fast in developing guidelines for essential services, even though we lost ground the first half of 2020, by the end of the second half, we had actually improved our care services and be able to offer care to all, even in the midst of the pandemic.
Reiterating the government's commitment to providing quality healthcare delivery to women and children, Chief of Staff Akosia Fremopare said work is being done to make healthcare accessible to hard-to-reach areas.
Knowing how the issues of maternal and child health remains a priority to His Excellency, the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, it is my fervent hope that together we will dialogue and commit to effective actions, improving interventions to address emergencies challenging associated with maternal and child health, especially in the midst of this pandemic, and plan towards other future health emergencies. My doors are open to policy briefs, concept papers, and other memoranda from the Ghana Health Service and other service providers, academia, and civil society on the implementation of strategies that will make our maternal child health and nutrition services and public health system second to none in Africa.
So that was the Deputy Health Minister, Tina Mensah, reading the speech on behalf of the Chief of Staff, Rima Osei-Opare. The country representative of Marie Stopes, Beatrice Arban, highlighted the need to equip healthcare professionals with the needed skills if Ghana hopes to improve maternal child health.
We are in the OT region now with our public sector strengthening team. We have midwives who are training the Ghana Health Service staff to be better equipped in metering out family planning services to the people in the rural communities. As I said, we are in OT region, we are in the Eastern region, we are in the Savannah region, the Upper East, the Upper West region, and we are meting out services to people who are not able to come to our clinics, people who are in the rural communities, severely rural communities that can't even be accessed by car.
Now, the Ghana Statistical Service has called on several agencies to begin training for over 400 field officers to undertake evaluation of the 2021 population and housing census. We have details of this in business. Stay with us.
Welcome to Business. The Ghana Statistical Service has, in its own stead, begun training over 400 field officers to undertake evaluation of the 2021 population and housing census. Now, the Post-Enumeration Survey is usually conducted after the census to determine if the census data was reliable, accurate, and up to international standard. At the Post-Enumeration Survey training workshop for field officers at Winneba, the Deputy Government Statistician, Dr. Faustina Frimpong Atinga, called for the cooperation of the general public as the exercise would give the country an accurate picture of the population. Here's more.
The Deputy Government Statistician, Dr. Faustina Frimpong Atinga, told the field officers the Post-Enumeration Survey was an important component of the entire population and housing census exercise.
They will be deployed to go to the field and they will work in the sampled enumeration areas to be able to do a re-enumeration. We have selected questions that they will go to these households, making reference to the census night, that's the 27th June, to be able to identify how many people were in these households and what was their age and a few characteristics, using that one to be able to evaluate what was done in the main activity. All we seek to do to ensure complete coverage. You know, census is enormous, huge. We've gone to all other areas. Sometimes people can call and say, I was not enumerated or other issues. This is independent to be able to measure, indeed, was there any undercount or overcount, or were there anything that was missed? And this will help us evaluate the main census to be able to know what was the coverage and, if any, the error that was committed.
Director of Social and Demographic Statistics of the Ghana Statistical Service, Antonia Muzufarian, explains how different this exercise that is going to be carried out is from the main population and housing census.
There's a difference between the actual census activity and that of the way PS is conducted, and that is why we need to train them. So we have gathered here to train them for 12 days on the method they are supposed to use to go and use and collect the data. The procedures are slightly different from that of the census, and that is the importance of this training.
Chief Technical Advisor with the UNFPA, Dr. Collins Opio, says for the Ghana Statistical Service to satisfy themselves that the exercise covered everybody, the evaluation exercise was necessary.
And once that information is collected, because it's independent, we are going to match it against the corresponding census information for those households, and see if everybody that should have been covered during the census has been covered, or if anyone was missed, or if anyone was counted more than once. So that's basically it. It's an evaluation mechanism for the census process, not because census is wrong, but because we want to be sure that the census was right.
The 400 field officers would begin the Post-Enumeration Survey on the 25th of August, where they are expected to independently collect data. The exercise would last for 21 days. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejunyako, Winiba.
Meanwhile, the government station has been providing an update on the 2021 census, saying that more than 99% of the population has been enumerated so far. According to him, enumerators are, however, struggling with communities where there is access being restricted. This includes gated estates and some remote areas in the country.
Population and housing census. We are keeping our call center active because some of these people who have declined to participate are requesting that we give them access to the law that gives us permission to do census on a decennial basis, and we are happy to continue to engage these people for them to provide the needed data as we wrap up data collection for the 2021 population and housing census. Another reason why we are grappling with less than 1% of the population, specifically 0.6% of the population, are areas that we have restricted access. This has nothing to do with the respondents in there. As was indicated, is the management of these restricted areas, specifically areas around areas in Lejokuku district, specifically around the Airport Hills areas. We're going to continue to engage to ensure that we get access to these communities to ensure that they are enumerated. With the foreign communities, as was indicated in our last release, we are counting on other state institutions, i.e. the Ghana Immigration Service, to help us get access to these areas. Otherwise, we'll move ahead to bring a complete closure to our call center and data collection for the 2021 population and housing census come 18th August 2021.
Away from that, the Ghana Enterprises Agency, formerly the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, an agency under the Ministry of Trade and Industry, is implementing the deadly COVID-19 response grant program as part of the World Bank-funded Ghana Economic Transformation Project and the Ghana Tourism Development Project. Now, among these, the participants for the forum were hoteliers, drinking bar operators, and food vendors. Joy News Upper West correspondent Rafik Salam reports from WA.
The COVID-19 Response Grant Program under the Economic Transformation and Tourism Development Projects seeks to provide emergency liquidity and relief to small and medium enterprises aimed at reducing the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ghana Enterprises Agency, in collaboration with the Ghana Tourism Authority in the Upper West region, knowing the benefits of the grants, quickly organized an educational forum for the industry players to assess the grant and also to inform those who are not aware about the grant application. Mohamed Abdul Mumin is the Upper West Regional Manager of the Ghana Enterprises Agency. He threw more light on the qualification criteria for the grants.
The portals are open for application, and we've realized that most people are not aware of this window. And then with our discussion with Ghana Tourism Authority, we said it would be wise, at least, to see how we can harness our human resource together and bring these people together and take them through the window, how to assess and answer some of the pertinent questions that is bothering them.
Upper West Regional Director of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Moses Indewini Indeburi, is of the firm belief that there will be an increase in the number of successful applicants who will be getting the free grant to improve their businesses.
In fact, it has been overwhelmed. Even by, you could see how the people were even asking the questions. I mean, they are very happy, and we are equally very happy. But we are not stopping here. We will still open our doors to still provide services as far as their applications are concerned, to ensure that a large chunk of the people have successful applications.
Madam Adisa Ejengu manages Jam Guest House. She lamented about the effect of the deadly disease, which has made her lay off some of her staff and also withdraw some services at the guest house. She was, however, happy with the forum as it would enable her to apply for a grant without any difficulty.
Well, it will help me if I get the grant. At the beginning of the COVID, I had to lay off some of my workers. I also stopped certain things from operating, the bar and drinks and other things. We stopped them from operating, and that made us to lose a lot of income. And the workers too, I laid off, we couldn't pay them. So if I'm able to get this grant, at least I'll be able to pay some of them and also start the drinking business again.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
And that'll be all for business, but I'll leave you with a summary of international business news, after which sports comes up next this day.
Thanks for staying with us. Time to bring you sports. And Joy Sports build-up has begun for the WBO Youth and WBC Silver Youth title bout between Ghana's Alfred Lamte and Tanzania's Idi Kayumba on the 4th of September at the Bukom Boxing Arena. This bout also marks the first time the WBO Youth title will be put up for a fight. Lamte, who is undefeated, has started a belt tour beginning with his sponsors, Ash Foam. My colleague Nathaniel Lato was there and comes through with his report.
On the evening of September 4 in Accra, specifically at the Bukom Boxing Arena, there'll be a big night of boxing. Now, the WBO has decided to put up one of its major breaks when it comes to introducing young people to major world titles. So the youth version of the WBO featherweight title will be up for grabs. And guess what? This is the very first time that the WBO youth title is being put up for a fight night. And Box Office Promotions, in collaboration with all of its sponsors, has put together this big fight night, which will be featuring Ghana's Alfred Lamte and Idi Kayumba of Tanzania. Well, so today, what's been happening? Well, we came over here to Ash Foam for a sponsor's visit because they have been supporting the boxer all of these years. Well, the boxer has come to have a conversation with the sponsors ahead of this very big bout. Let's go over and have a conversation with our friends here. So, there we have George Massey, who's the general manager of Ash Foam. And this company has actually been very key on boxing. And I'll tell you the reason why. They've got about 4,100 factory workers here who are encouraged all of the time to get into various sporting disciplines. And boxing is one of them. George, good to see you.
Nice to see you again. Welcome.
But you look you look like you're ready for a fight yourself.
I was just discussing with Alfred if you can go a few rounds, but.
All right, tell me how excited you are seeing these two titles and the prospect of having a Ghanaian boxer win this major bout.
We are very much looking forward. We have a lot of confidence in Alfred. He is young, he is determined, he is very focused, and we hope he can go on to win the title and become a world champion and an exemplary hero to a lot of millions of Ghanaians, millions of Africans and people around the world. We are very positive about the impact the positive impact he will have once he is the champion of the world.
Hey, great stuff there. Let's now quickly take a listen to the man who will be at the center of all of the action. Alfred, Tite. Okay, biane be she new no can titles na. E wo mi no yo man be e kemo.
Minta man ke man be e fen ake. Ame bamlan. Le ka me bamlan ma po ya. Ni fe shu ake ma po ya. In opponent lengele around 7. Be na ba ka shot mo ran 8 alo ran 7. In po mo no means money. Mo fiamo aba support me. In France fen aba support me.
Okay. Well, Alfred Lamte is just assuring all his fans here in Ghana that he will end the fight early. Worst case scenario, it could go to the 8th round. If you come in after the 8th round, then you possibly are not going to see that big bout, which will have these two big belts at stake. Well, as they always say, the inside of the ring will tell, and Joy Sports will be doing a massive, massive build-up to this very big fight night, which is put together by Box Office Promotions. Well, these are my two companions for now. My name is Nathaniel Atto. Back to you in the studio.
The National Paralympic Committee of Ghana is currently in Luton to discuss creative ways disability sports can be promoted in Ghana. My colleague Oreku Ampofo is currently with the committee and filed the special report.
So we're here at the Luton Town Hall to witness the maiden meeting between Ghana's National Paralympic Committee and then members of the Luton Council. The main agenda for today's maiden meeting is to ensure that things are put in place in terms of this partnership, looking at ways in which Luton's Council can help Ghana's National Paralympic Committee, looking long-term and then short-term as well, to be able to help Ghana's National Paralympic Committee secure sponsorships, get different funds, and then get the much-needed support to elevate the sport back in Ghana.
The meeting was graced by quite a number of dignitaries from Luton. The mayor-elect councillor Mahmoud Hussein, ex-mayor of Luton Maria Lovell, Councillor Jackie Burnett, Councillor David Agbele, Chairman of Ghana Society UK Bishop David Foamweni, and Francis Edubate, who is the youth chairman of Ghana Society UK and the Director of Sports, were all present at the Luton Town Hall. Ideas were shared on how Paralympic sports in Ghana could be promoted and improved. Maria Lovell, who is the ex-mayor of Luton, explained why they were interested in supporting the National Paralympic Committee in Ghana.
So, yes, it's to support the National Paralympic Committee and their aims and vision, to promote and create awareness for persons with disabilities to be included, in sports and to work towards the Commonwealth Games 2022. So, in a nutshell, that's, why we're here today. The seed is already been planted from the National Paralympic Committee in Ghana, to create awareness and for us to look at persons with disabilities in a more positive light.
The partnership between Ghana and Luton for developing sports in Ghana is a long-term one that the West African country would be benefiting from. President of the National Paralympic Committee Ghana, Samson Dean, reviewed that steps have been taken for Luton to host Ghana during the 2022 Commonwealth Games.
We are lucky that 2022 Birmingham is hosting the Commonwealth Games. And fortunately for us, as the mayor said earlier in the meeting, that Luton has made a lot of arrangements to make sure that Ghana is based here in Luton as a host town arrangement. As you are aware, when we talk about host town is where Ghanaian team will be based, train, have a cultural events, have a lot of meetings with regards to trade and others. So currently, we are happy to have met Mayor We are happy to have met the people of the council, and we are also happy to continue with the project.
So that wraps it up for day one in terms of the potential partnership between Luton's council members and then Ghana's National Paralympic Committee. Now the ball has been set rolling in terms of discussions on how to improve the sport back in Ghana. My name is Ore Kuampofo, reporting from Joy Sports from the Luton Town Hall.
So we're for there from Luton, and that's it for sports here on Joy News Prime. There's more at myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Meisando.
Thanks for your company here on Joy News Prime. That's our show for tonight. You find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Of course, PM Express is up next with George Wiafe. We're having the Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. John Kumar, right here. You want to stay for that conversation. There's more news at myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mena.